So let's go ahead and press X here. And boom, right there we go. Hey everybody, Michael here, and big news for the PlayStation 4 scene, and that is that if you do have a PlayStation 4 on 12.52 or under, you can now jailbreak it. And with that jailbreak, you can obviously run GoldHEN. There is a brand new version that just came out for 12.50 and for 12.52. But more details on that in just a moment. Now, one thing I do want to get out of the way is that if you do want to perform this, you are going to need a Blu-ray burner as well as Blu-ray disc. Now, the R or the RW is fine, but I do want to let you know you are going to have to purchase one of these two things or wait for people to start selling the disc. Now, we saw people start selling these things on AliExpress. I made a video on it, but I did want to set expectations accordingly. So if you head over to the GitHub repo here over on GoldHEN, you'll see that there is a new project called HENloader_LP. And so that LP there obviously stands for laps, and P is for poopsploit, which is always so weird to say. But as you can see right now, there really isn't any instructions in here such as a README, but if you go over to the releases, you'll see that there is now a HENloader LP 1.0, and it uses laps if you're on a PlayStation 4 9.00 to 12.02, or it will use poopsploit if you are on 12.52. Now you'll see in the menu when I show it to you that laps won't be an option to select on a 12.52 system because laps doesn't support that firmware, whereas poopsploit does. Now, what is interesting in here is that it does state that it includes GoldHEN 2.4b 18.7, where we've seen in previous approaches, we have used a USB stick and copied GoldHEN over maybe as a payload.bin. Here, what we're seeing is that it is all included in the ISO image. Now, I did notice over on SiSTRo's Ko-Fi page that he did release a post here that said that, "Hi all, the new beta is out. Super thanks to the Flow's net control exploit, which is called poopsploit," and that if we scroll down into the changelog, we can see he added support for 12.50 and 12.52. and also added support for testkit. And there was a note here that I am still working on new features, but this release will mainly focus to support new firmwares and testkit. Now again, you can just pay $0 here and download it directly for it, but again, it is now baked into the ISO image. So to get started with this, of course, just come right here and click and download the ISO image. And then I've been using this application called Image Burn in order to get that burnt to the disk. So go ahead and download that if you haven't already. And again, we're gonna go to write image file to disk. We're gonna select a file, which is the HENloader_LP.iso, and then insert a disk and then write to it. Once that's been completed successfully, let's jump over to the PlayStation 4. I have reset one of my PlayStation 4 systems where I could just walk you through everything step by step. So over in settings, if we scroll down here, I'm going to go to system and then system information, and you can see that I'm currently on 12.52. Now, if you are on version 13.00 or 13.02, then this will not work. But if you are below 12.52, then this will absolutely work. Now, there are a first few steps that we do want to take before we move forward. So the first thing is that let's go back into System and let's go to Automatic Downloads and remove some of the default settings. So featured content, system software update files, application update files, we're going to take those off as well. And now we're going to go ahead and press the back button. Now you are going to want to make sure that Enable HDCP is turned on, because the Blu-ray disc will not run without it. Now there are some instances when you first input your Blu-ray disc where it asks you to download to the internet. It is absolutely fine to connect, at least temporarily, to the internet in order to activate that Blu-ray drive. Now let's go ahead and head back to the main menu here, and now go ahead and insert the disc into the drive. Okay, great. So now you'll just press the X button, and what you'll see up there at the top is that the HEN Loader LP version 1.0 is based on GoldHEN, the Poopsploit, Laps, BDJ, and the Java console. And this is currently running on a 12.52 firmware, and select the mode to run, and X is the only available option because that is Poopsploit, where again with Laps that only runs up to 12.50. So let's go ahead and press X here, and boom, right there we go. That was actually a first run, and that was extremely fast. And up there in the top, you can see we have GoldHEN. And now that we have GoldHEN running, we have access to debug settings here where we can go ahead and install different types of PKGs. Now, since this system has been factory reset, I'm going to go ahead and set up a few of these options that I think will give me a better experience. So the first thing is that I want to enable the debug settings, and I'm going to go ahead and put that to the full menu as I showed there just a moment ago. We're going to leave the rest of these settings exactly like they are. We're going to go over to the cheat settings here, and we're going to keep a check mark right there in Enable Cheat menu. We're going to go to Show Title ID, and I'm going to select the title ID and the app version. And then if you do have an internet connection, you can take this option here to update the cheat archive. And you'll see up there at the top, it says updating cheats. Cheats updated. So now with our fake package games, we can now run game cheats on them. We're going to go ahead and select back, and we're going to go to plugin settings, and we're going to put a check mark here in Enable Plugins Loader. And we're also going to take the option here to update the plugins archive. And don't forget that once you update it, you do want to go ahead and make sure that you put a check mark right here to enable the game patch plugin. Okay, so with that being added, we'll now get things such as 60 frames per second and other features. We're going to select back here, and underneath game overlay, we're going to leave all of these settings as they are, but I do just want to show you, you can enable a frames per second counter if you would like to do that. And we're going to go to server settings, and we are going to put a check mark here on enable FTP server. And right there, it will give us a port that we can listen to. And now you could transfer files back and forth if you would like to do that. We're going to select the back button here, and we're going to leave everything as it is in the Klog settings. And we're going to go to just the settings screen, and we are going to turn on enable rest mode support, which will keep GoldHEN alive after coming out of rest mode. Now, the next option that you'll want to go ahead and take is this enable BD app auto kill. So from now on, whenever it successfully jailbreaks, it will just automatically close out of that Blu-ray disk drive instead of you doing it manually yourself. You might want to go into the date and time, and especially if you've been having problems keeping your system up to the current date and time, take the option here to enable auto update of the date and time, and then every time you load GoldHEN, well then it will automatically keep the current time for you. Okay, so now that we've got GoldHEN running, I'm sure you're asking, where do we get all of the other fun things at? Let's go ahead and switch back over to the PC. Okay, so if you go over to PKG-Zone and you go to the Homebrew store here, you can take this option here to download a PKG for the PlayStation 4. Basically, once you download this file, just copy it to the root of your USB drive. Now, I know you might be thinking about this alternative version where you can install the Homebrew store directly on the PlayStation, But as of this moment, there is an issue where it does not detect that it's a compatible firmware, but that will be fixed very shortly. But at least you can go ahead and do it manually here. Okay, so with the Homebrew application on your USB drive, we're going to go into GoldHEN and then debug settings and then package installer here. And it is just named store-r2.pkg. So let's press X on that and head back to our main screen. And now let's take the Homebrew store as the option here. And now it is downloading all of the applications that we can install directly to our PlayStation 4 here. So let's just go ahead and begin by downloading PS4 Explorer 2.0, and we'll go back to our main menu here, and right there is PS4 Explorer. Now do keep in mind that since this is such an early version, some of the Homebrew applications don't support this just yet, such as PS4 Explorer. But now you could go ahead and at least start taking advantage of your fake PS4 games. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Michael, out.